to another edition of Aileen's Arcane Archive. I'm your pajamaed archivist, Louise, one half of the Ailene Lynn Ray writing team. Today we are going to jump into some deep science fiction. And I have to say that I have not found a science fiction story that has pulled me in so quickly in a long time. And that science fiction story is The Ember War by Richard Fox. I really enjoyed this series of books, and I'm not quite through all of them yet, but it takes you along for a wild ride. And it's one of those kind of, it's got the heavy sci-fi in it, it has the humor, it has the kind of galactic scale, and the author, Richard Fox, is a veteran, a Marine. And you can really tell in his battle scenes, they're really well done. So this is one of those science fiction stories that I highly recommend. So let's get into, I'll give you the synopsis on the back here, and then we'll get into the first chapter, which is just so much fun. In the near future, an alien probe arrives on Earth with a pivotal mission: determine if humanity has what it takes to survive the impending invasion of a merciless armada. The probe discovers Mike Ibarra, a young inventor who holds the key to a daring gambit that could save a fraction of Earth's population. Humanity's only chance lies with Ibarra's ability to keep a terrible secret and engineer the planet down the narrow path to survival. Earth will need a fleet, one with a hidden purpose, one strong enough to fight a battle against annihilation. The Ember War is the first installment in an epic military sci-fi series. If you like A Hymn Before Battle by John Ringo and The Last Starship by Von Heppner, then you'll love this explosive adventure with constant thrills and high stakes from cover to cover. I have to agree. So, find your comfy space, get yourself your beverage of choice, which always is tea for me here. Let's sit back, and I will tell you a story. Chapter 1 of The Ember War by Richard Fox. The near future. Humanity's only hope of survival entered the solar system at nearly the speed of light. The probe slowed as the sun's heliosphere disrupted the graviton wave it rode in on from the abyss of deep space. Awakened by the sudden deceleration, the probe absorbed the electromagnetic spectrum utilized by its target species and assessed the technological sophistication of the sole sentient species on Earth. The probe adjusted its course to take it into the system's star. If the humans couldn't survive, with its help, what was to come, then the probe would annihilate itself. There would be no trace of it for the enemy, and no chance of humanity's existence beyond the time it had until the enemy arrived. The probe analyzed, filed patents, military expenditures, birth rates, mathematical advancement, and space exploration. The first assessment fell within the margin of error of survival and extinction for humanity. The probe's programming allowed for limited autonomous decision-making, choice being a rare luxury for the probe's class of artificial intelligence. The probe found itself in a position to choose between ending its mission in the sun's fire and a mathematically improbable defense of humanity, and the potential compromise of its much larger mission. Given the rare opportunity to make its own decision, the probe opted to dither. In the week it took to pass into Jupiter's orbit, the probe took in more data. It scoured the internet for factors to add to the assessment, but the assessment remained the same. Unlikely, but possible. By the time it shot past Mars, the probe still hadn't made a decision. As the time to adjust course for Earth or continue into the sun approached, the probe conducted a final scan of cloud storage servers for any new information and found something interesting. While the new information made only a negligible impact on the assessment, the probe adjusted course to Earth. It hadn't traveled all this way for nothing. In the desert south of Phoenix, Arizona, it landed with no more fanfare than a slight thump and a few startled cows. Then it broke into the local cell network and made a call. Mark Ibarra awoke to his phone ringing at the max volume, playing a pop ditty that he hated with vehemence. He rolled off the mattress that lay on the floor and crawled on his hands and knees to where his cell was recharging. His roommate, who had paid the majority of the rent, and got to sleep on an actual bed, grumbled and let off a slew of slurred insults. Mark reached his cell and slapped at it until the offending music ended. He blinked sleep from his eyes and tried to focus on the caller's name on the screen. The only people who'd call it this ungodly hour was his family in Basque Country, or maybe Jessica, in his applied robotics course, wanted a late-night study break. The name on the screen was Answer Me. He closed an eye and reread the name. It was way too early, or too late, depending on one's point of view, for this nonsense. He turned the ringer off and went back to bed. Sleep was about to claim him when the phone rang again, just as loudly as last time, but now with a disco anthem. Seriously? His roommate slurred. Mark declined the call and powered the phone off. He flopped back on his bed and curled into his blankets. To hell with my first class, he thought. Arizona State University had a lax attendance policy, one which he'd abuse for nights like this. The cell erupted with big band music. Mark took his head out from beneath the covers and looked at his phone like it was a thing possessed. The phone vibrated so hard that it practically danced a jig on the floor, and the screen flashed, "Answer me," over and over again as music blared. "Dude," said his roommate, now sitting up in his bed. Mark swiped the phone off the charging cord, and the music stopped. The caller's name undulated with a rainbow of colors, and an arrow appeared on the screen pointing to the button he had to press to answer the call. When did I get this app? He thought. Mark sighed and left the bedroom, meandering into the hallway bathroom with the grace of a zombie. The battered mattress he slept on played hell with his back and left him stiff every morning. Dropping his boxers, he took a seat on the toilet and answered the call, determined to return this caller's civility with some interesting background noise. "What?" he murmured. "Mark Ibarra, I need to see you." The voice was mechanical, asexual in its monotone. "Do you have any friggin' idea what time it is? Wait, who the hell is this? You must come to me immediately. We must discuss the mathematical proof you have stored in document titled This Cannot Be Right. Doc. Mark shot to his feet. The boxers around his ankles tripped him up, and he stumbled out of the bathroom and fell against the wall. His elbow punched a hole in the drywall, and the cell clattered to the floor. He scooped the phone back up and struggled to breathe as a sudden asthma attack came over him. How? He couldn't finish his question until he found his inhaler in the kitchen, mere steps away in the tiny apartment. He took a deep breath from the inhaler and felt the tightness leave his lungs. That someone knew his proof was impossible. He'd finished it earlier that night and had encrypted it several times before loading it into a cloud file that shouldn't have been linked to him in any way. "How do you know about that?" he asked. "You must come to me immediately. There is little time. Look at your screen," the robotic voice said. His screen changed to a map program, displaying a pin in an open field just off the highway connecting Phoenix to the suburb of Maricopa. "Come, now." Mark grabbed his keys. An hour later, his jeans ripped from scaling a barbed wire fence, Mark was surrounded by desert scrub. The blue of the morning rose behind him where his beat-up Honda waited on the side of the highway. With his cell to his ear, Mark stopped and looked around before deciding how to continue. Spiked ocotillo plants looked a lot like benign mesquite trees in the darkness. A Native American casino in the distance served as his North Star, helping him keep his bearings. "You're not out here, are you?" "I'm being punked, aren't I?" he asked the mysterious caller. "You are 9.26 meters to my east-southeast. Punk, decayed wood, used as tinder. Are you on fire?" the caller called. Mark rolled his eyes. This wasn't the first time the caller had used the non-standard meanings of words during what passed as conversation between the two. Mark had tried to get the caller to explain how he knew about his theorem and why they had to meet in the middle of the desert. The caller had refused to say anything. He would only reiterate that Mark had to come quickly to see him, chiding him every time Mark deviated from the provided driving directions. "If you're so close, why can't I see you?" he asked. He took a few steps in what he thought was a northwesterly direction and squished into a cow patty. "Continue," the caller said. Mark shook his foot loose and tried to kick the cow leavings from his sneakers. "You know what this is? This is exactly what's all over my shoes, you monotone bastard. Forget it." Mark shoved his phone into his back pocket and limped back toward his car, his right foot squishing with each step. The route back to his car was comparatively easy. He just had to walk toward his headlights. That was the plan, anyway, until the lights in his car shut off. "Mark, this is important." The muffled words came from his pocketed cell. "How are you doing this?" Mark shouted into the night. "Turn around, please." Mark did as asked, and a silver light, like the snap of a reflection, from a fish twisting just beneath the water flared on the ground ahead of him. No one was there a moment ago, and Mark hadn't heard any movement. I swear if I get my kidneys cut out, I will be so pissed about this, Mark said, as he made his way to where he saw the light. He stood for a moment, then flopped his arms against his sides. I'm here! You're standing on me, the voice came from beneath Mark's feet. Mark skipped aside like he just heard a rattlesnake's warning. Holy, did someone bury you? Why didn't you tell me to bring a shovel? Mark went to his knees and poked at the ground, which felt solid. How deep are you? Do you have enough air? Mark asked, using both hands to shove earth aside. 2 inches ahead and 3 down. Mark's face contorted in confusion as he kept digging. He moved a mound of gray dirt and pebbles aside, and a silver light washed over his face. A silver needle no more than 3 inches long rested in the dirt. Tiny filaments of lambent energy crept from the needle and undulated through the air like a snake in the ocean. Mark was frozen in place, his jaw slack, as the filaments extended away from the needle, shades of white swimming in and around it. We don't have much time. The words came from the needle in the same mechanical voice as his mysterious caller. A point of light appeared in the air above the needle, sparked, and then lit into a flame no bigger than he'd seen on a match head. A white flame, which gave off no heat, rose and grew in size. A flame the size of Mark's head came to stop a few feet in the air. Mark, transfixed by the flame until now, got to his feet. The filaments from the needle had extended past him and formed a perimeter 10 yards in diameter. Tendrils of energy writhed against each other and against an invisible boundary. His heart pounded in his ears. His innate fight-or-flight instinct made a decision. This is a different experience for you. Let me. Mark turned and ran away. He got to where the tendrils had stopped and ran into what felt like a wall of water. Air thickened around him as he tried to push through and find purchase on the ground ahead. It felt like he was moving through clay. Mark, you're being ridiculous. The air hardened and spat him back toward the flame. Mark tripped over his own feet and tumbled to the ground. He snapped back to his feet and looked for a way, any way, to put some distance between him and the flame. The flame, white on silver or silver on white, Mark couldn't tell as it morphed in the air, floated toward him slowly. Mark made the sign of a cross with 2 fingers and looked away. He heard a sigh. Look at me, the flame, again. Mark opened an eye. The flame was inches from his hands, but he still felt no heat. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. Understand? The flame bobbed in the air gently until Mark nodded. I am an emissary from an alien intelligence sent to save your species from extinction, and I need your help to do it. Mark pointed a finger at the flame and tried to touch it. His fingertip passed into the flame's surface without sensation. I thought unsolicited physical contact was against your species' norms, said the flame, the tendrils rustling with the words. Mark snapped his hands back. Did you say something about extinction? The flame bobbed in the air. How? Why? An armada is coming. The flame morphed into an oblong shape with a half-dozen tendrils sticking from it, like a misshapen spider. They are the Zaros, and they will annihilate your species with ease. Unless you and I work together, your extinction is assured, the flame said, floating closer to Mark, who stood dumbfounded. The flame came so close that he could see his reflection in it. Deep blue motes of light sprang from the flame and evaporated in the air. Why me? What am I supposed to do about an alien armada? I'm a B- grad student with a mountain of student loans, not some world leader. The probe returned to the flames, and a hologram of white paper popped into the air next to it. Pages flipped open from the book, the mathematical proof he'd finished the night before. We expected that your species would have progressed to the edge of your solar system by now. To see such potential squandered on wars and internet cat videos was disheartening, but this is well beyond what you should be capable of. The advancements you discovered in material science and energy storage are a springboard to technological advancement that will give you a 27% chance of survival, provided everything goes as planned. We can start here. The proof stopped with the picture of a lattice of carbon atoms. The last page had the words, "No way," scrawled next to the diagram. I don't understand, Mark said. You will. We will need to get started right away. How much time do we have? 60 years. And that is the first chapter of the Ember War. Cool, right? It's a great beginning for a really, really great book. So if you are into military sci-fi, The Ember War by Richard Fox just might be your next science fiction series read. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that first chapter of that book. And as always, I'd like to remind you, your life is a story, so go out and live it.